Well, I'm tired of the stereo. May contact to harmonica, she gave me mono, I'm a fire. Come fight me, be a hero. Take shots at the flame and the fireball nearer to yourself. And do it for your health, and do it for all the little rascals picking through the trash in the street. And kick 'em with your feet, and do it through a beat, cause you bringing the heat, Godspeed, goddamn. Take it by the hand, don't you now, got the whole thing pegged. With a pen in the house, and you penning it out on a blank white page with the blood red ink and your burn white sage. Goddamn it, we run the whole planet, gotta hold hands with the hands that we're headed. Got a TV set planted on the channel. Televised apocalypse, revolution canceled.
Hello, Whipple Nation, and welcome to the 13th episode of the Huntington Whipple League podcast. I'm your host, Josh Smith, with my co-host, father of four, manager of pizza operations everywhere worldwide, and all-around sexy mustachioed bandit,
Greg Sowards.
Also with me is my producer, eligible bachelor, male or female. He's a swinger at the plate and in the bedroom.
Jeremy Litton.
And with me, special guest, captain of the championship 2014 Honey Badgers, nearsighted, also single,
Paul Hesson. Championship.
This episode follows a 3-month silence since our last episode. Why is that? Why have we not had an episode?
I was kidnapped from a lover on farmersonly.com. Oh, I can't do
You don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com.
We haven't had jack shit to talk about. That's why we haven't had an episode. Nothing to talk about.
Zilch.
So what have you missed? Squat. Nothing. Okay?
Actually, a lot of things, Josh.
Yeah, that's happened like in the past 48 hours. That's the podcast. The Offseason. That is the focus of this episode. When we talk to you all next month, it will be following our winter meeting, and we're going to have much more of a handle on what to expect for the 2015 season. But right now, that's the Lord of the Rings. We're in Hobbit right now, if you'll indulge me. Okay? So, Bilbo.
So which Hobbit?
What's up?
Are we in, like, an unexpected journey, desolation of Smog?
We're in the non-Peter Jackson version where it wasn't fucking 9 hours of nonsense. With very little dragon, by the way. That was bullshit. Like, in the last movie, it was like 15 seconds of Smaug. I was like, that's it? There's nothing? He's like, you can't kill me, and then they kill him. I mean, it's just...
Do you know how much that dragon probably cost him in terms of...
It's not a real dragon. It's not like they rented him.
Rent a center.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fucking, like, rent-to-own a dragon. Dragons aren't real. They've never been real.
I don't know. They had to come from somewhere.
Nerds with the computers. That's all. I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, it's
Well,
just...
those nerds had to get paid.
It would be less
Which is,
than an actor.
by the way, they get paid...
It's like, combined.
They
you could
get-
have 20,000 IT people, and it'd pay them a year's salary, and it would be less than Orlando Bloom's pay for that movie.
But-
and then the royalties at the end.
They still get paid more than what I get paid for this podcast, Josh. I get paid in pizza.
True. It's better than nothing. I'm very thankful.
Could be Little Caesars.
Okay. Yeah. At least I give you quality pizza. All right. Let's go to our first topic. Jeremy, in November, you announced that you were going to be retiring as a player. How is retirement?
Boring. We haven't had a podcast in 3 months.
Yeah. The heart and soul. You as a player just completely was the sun.
Well, I think as talent just simply got better in the league, and I no longer was remotely competitive. So I think Welfare Warriors even showed that a little, and then it even got worse the next season.
Okay.
So
Would you consider coming back?
If it's a scenario like
with
that,
the right scenario.
I would come back under the following scenario, and nothing against Patrick. Patrick's a nice guy, and I love being on We Wheel and Wiffle. But all I wish for anyone who would just like to fill a slot, all I ask for is a jersey that fits.
A jersey that's all you need.
That's all I need.
You're a simple man.
I'm very simple.
Simple needs.
Because I don't know if anyone saw me.
You
in that
adapted
jersey.
quite well. You got those, like... We talked about this in the last podcast where I zoomed in on your picture
Yeah.
and I couldn't find your nipple. either nipple. It's like you wore those pasties.
I had the spandex under, so it like flattened out my nipple quite well, actually.
I didn't believe that you had nipples.
I do. I have actually 3 nipples.
Are you an alien?
E.T.
Do you not
phone
have?
home.
Do you not have nipples?
Does the third one get cold?
No, it's just like there. You know how you got little divots all around your nipple?
Functional.
Nipple divots?
No idea what's going on.
Mine don't fade. It looks like they're bolted on.
So you have like a bolt.
Yeah, a bolt.
It's like a Frankenstein nipple?
Yes.
I think we've learned too much about Jeremy this podcast.
Anyway,
already.
I just did not like the jersey.
So
like,
if duty calls, you'll answer.
right,
All right.
with the right jersey.
for the right jersey, and again,
What size is that for the record?
it,
for
it
everybody?
would be a 2 or 3X, depending on
2.5 XL.
depending on make and model.
I would say 3X just because the jerseys tend to be a little bit tighter.
Yeah. Well, this was like spandex type material. I forget what they said it was. I just know it was tight.
What is that in the ladies? Is that also 2XL?
That's a 6X.
6X. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a moo actually. It's not even a.
Well, yeah.
It's not
He
even
actually just wants a
size.
robe.
He just wants
Yeah.
a blanket
Yeah.
with the team logo on it.
A
and
moo
number.
actually wouldn't be that bad.
On a robe with a
I
nightcap.
could free ball it every single game.
No sliding.
Or sliding, and no one would ever tag you out.
Wouldn't
Okay.
be bad.
With us is special guest Paul Hesson. Paul's got a lot going on right now. Not really. It's the off season, so let's talk with Paul. We didn't really get a chance to talk with you during our playoff podcast we had with Patrick Rail. We recorded a podcast after the championship game that was the primary focus was the NWA tournament. It kind of stole the thunder from the Honey Badgers a little bit because we were going there the following weekend. And you also snubbed Patrick and Greg and Jeremy for pre-game interviews because you were so focused on male genitals before the game.
I don't know about that.
I don't think there's any problem with them snubbing us for the pre-interviews because he was focused on championship, which he won.
Yes, very determined.
So
They did beat an undefeated team.
So this is our chance to before then, but not that night. This is our chance to sort of go back and sort of cover some ground we didn't get a chance to cover in July. So I guess my just for any listeners that don't know already, we lightly touched on what happened with the Honey Badgers halfway through the season in an article I posted about 14 of my favorite things from the 2014 season. And namely one of those things was the way you actually got the Honey Badgers back on track after, let's just say, everything happened in May. So
there's many videos of
yeah,
this
long
happening.
story short, the original captain of the team, there were some issues there, and then he and another person from that team left. Walk me through the process that you went through to rebuild that team, because you were obsessed with you referred to your team as the new Honey Badgers all the time. It wasn't even the same team.
Right.
So and you turned that team around to the look. It was a steady franchise from the beginning with the original members, and I still think they would have made it to the semifinals with that roster. You guys were solid, not the best team in the league, but there was definitely some potential there. So you went from that to, I really felt we were going to lose the franchise. So how did you rebuild? Could you take us through?
Well, it was just Jacob Fisher was coming in right when Josh and Ariel left. And he played in college, was a really good pitcher. And then Kyle came back near the end of the season, kind of helped. I mean, it was just lucky, I guess, that he came at the time he did. Really, it's luck.
Luck, that's how you won a championship.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
And then pure skill and determination as well.
I
So
also won a
midget-
championship with luck because
Everybody sucked. That's why you won
in
yours.
my championship game, a player that had never hit a home run ever hit a grand slam. So it was
There you go.
luck in mine.
Okay. Well,
Against the Honey Badgers, actually.
We don't have a Captain of the Year award, but if I had to give one, to give that award to somebody, I definitely would have given that to you last year.
Oh, thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, but there's only one other captain I've seen just really improvise to get a team together, and it's Stephanie Sadler. She has created 3 different teams in the past 2 years. Once for fall ball in 2013, and again for the wiffle ballers during the 2014 season, and then she just created an all-female team for the past fall ball season. So that's good company to have for sure. Now, your pitching in general, you have a very unique pitching style, and you kind of have mixed results. You pitched a little bit at the NWA tournament, right?
I did, sadly. Pretty bad.
You're real hot and cold sometimes,
Yeah.
and you did very well those last few weeks of the season and going into the playoffs. What did you figure out that helped you pitch better?
Honestly, I have no idea. I can go there and throw a strike or not. I don't know anything about it.
Wow.
He's wild thing.
Honestly, yeah, it's interesting. It's the
Make
way I
the
hold the
league
ball,
movie.
and then I just forget what I did the previous week, and I hold it differently.
So you just hold the balls, the way that feels right, and you just sort of get taken away.
And release.
Okay. Yes, that's it.
Okay. So
Okay.
okay, go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I insist.
You're the guest.
Throughout the season, it was my first time ever pitching, so I was always changing stuff and doing different pitches and stuff. So just finding my groove, I guess.
So the more you
Took a
touch the
while.
balls, the more.
Sort of like Stella. You had to find your groove.
Exactly.
Then she lost it, and she had to get it back. That'd be the name of this podcast. How Paul got his groove back.
Okay.
So
Sounds good.
I don't remember what your record was before you had to reform the roster and after, but you went from being. You guys were around 500 before this, and then you guys, once Jacob came in, and I really think, I'm not really sure what would have happened if the team would have stayed as it was, and then it would have been maxed out with Jacob. I don't remember if Kyle was even on the roster
No,
at all. I don't
not
think
at
he
all.
was. Jacob would have maxed out your roster at that point, and you would have had. Josh is still a pretty good pitcher. You guys would have had a killer rotation. Do you think that would have been? You guys would have been even more successful, or do you think the fact that the people that ended up leaving sort of struggled with hitting would have balanced out? You feel like you would have done the same, done better, or maybe done worse?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but I mean, Josh was an excellent hitter and pitcher, so I mean, definitely something we lost there. Ariel was great too. It's hard to tell. Probably about the same, honestly. I just think the addition of Jacob was what helped us.
Yeah, that was definitely a game
'Cause he was
changer.
really good.
Okay. So the season ends. You guys are finally. You didn't get ranked yet. You guys had like a 12-4 record or something, or 12-6 record. No, it was 20-game season. You would have been 14-6, I think.
Yeah, that's
Or
something.
6. I don't fucking know. Around that, you had like a 650, 700 record, something like that. So, you get into the playoffs. Who'd you play in the first round? Do you remember?
Wiffle ballers.
Wiffle Ballers.
Yeah.
Which you guys, that
We
did
won.
not last very long. Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
brutal game. And then in the semifinals, this game is actually more recognized as the championship than the actual championship game was. Nothing against it on my base at all. We played them 4 times, and it was a great game each
Yeah.
time we played them. They just played very well, no matter who they played. So, but Greg and I remember us talking because we actually sat and watched that game because we'd already been eliminated several minutes before that. And I was watching the sit on my base. We were the wiffle game. I was like, this game's predictable. So
Let me just say, we are still protesting that game. And some of the BS calls made.
I think Greg stuck around for a little bit there, and I wanted to see the Breaking Balls Honey Batters game. And I remember talking to Greg about this. I said, it's a damn shame those two teams ended up in the same division because I think that was probably the best game of the season. Probably was that semifinal game.
That was pretty fun.
So take me through how long was that game? How many innings? You remember?
It was
It was definitely extras.
yes,
Like 10,
8.
8?
The sit on my base game was 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 7, maybe 8.
Okay, so
Too many innings.
David comes up to bat, David.
Let me just say something.
Okay.
If there was ever a one-hit wonder,
David Dillon. I don't really know much about the guy. He's a nice guy.
Super nice guy.
He doesn't talk a lot.
Very good at fielding, good at hitting.
He's a good fielder.
He's good.
Good
Is he the
hitter.
one with the alcohol problem?
No, that's on a different team entirely.
Okay.
yeah.
Unless David secretly has
No,
it.
he's-
I have to ask.
How would you know? What if it's a secret? What if
It
he's-
could be a secret.
It could be a secret.
I don't know. I have no idea.
He's got like a liquor cabinet in his closet.
Maybe.
He goes home and has an old fashioned.
He might. I don't know.
Whatever he does, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last person I would expect anyway to hit a clutch home run in extra innings against Drew McClanahan.
Yeah.
They were 20-0 at that point, ranked number 1 in the country. What was the emotions on the team?
There was tears, for sure. A lot
Tears,
of crying. A lot of
erections.
cheering. Somebody yelled "Holy shit" at one point.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
And really a lot of shock. I think it was unexpected. Drew was pretty mad too. I don't think he was happy about it. It was interesting.
He wasn't happy when he gave up 1 run in a 20-0 game.
Yeah,
You know?
when we actually earned the first run
home
on
run,
him,
yeah.
and then he absolutely unloaded on us, and they killed us like within like 20 minutes after. It was like 22-1. That was the only run we scored.
Ugh.
But yeah, that was the hit that just shook the league to its core.
Yeah.
Everyone thought for sure after like week 2 in the regular season, breaking balls are in already. It's just who's going to get there. So then you played Sit on My Base, which is this wild card team, and their roster was constantly changing. They had 2 people that didn't show up ever, and they paid and everything, and then they brought in Brad Washburn, which was always interesting to watch. He always came to the field at least partially drunk.
That's him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got him.
And Scott Westcott, who actually has some pitching experience in high school and actually did pretty good.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a very unpredictable player. I don't know if he's coming back this year or not. I don't think so. But so how did you plan your attack of the team? Because you guys had a whole week to plan for just this one game. You guys practiced. Didn't you practice like every day?
Yeah, we
leading up to
practiced quite a bit.
what was your strategy as far as what did you know you had to do in order if you were going to beat them? Because that's one of those teams that they're kinetic. Once they get like on a roll,
Yeah.
they had a lot of their games were just like 1-2 run games, but sometimes they'd get on a roll and just
Right.
pound somebody. Our team mainly, but
Well, we kind of did the
Everyone
same
did.
thing that we did against breaking balls and split up the pitching, and then just get the lineup the way it needed to be. I mean, it was a long game. I pitched, I think, 4 innings, and then Jacob pitched 6. It was just kind of throwing him off with 2 totally different pitchers. He's left-handed, I'm right-handed. He throws hard, I don't. And he has an interesting curve. I mean, it's just totally different pitching, so I think that kind of helped. And then Kyle being there is a really good fielder. Zach's really fast, so just kind of had a good all-around team, I think.
okay. So that brings me to next season, going into 2015. What's it looking like as far as like your involvement? Are you played on chicken and wiffles and fall ball? Honey Badger seems to have kind of split up.
Yeah.
What's the plan you have?
Well, right now we're trying to get Kyle back on the team. Maybe a couple guys he knows, and then David. It's really the extent of the team.
Getting
right
the
now.
core of the team together and then try to expand from there.
exactly.
Okay, that's good. Well, as long as you're doing some recruiting
Trying.
to get that, you're going to want to at least have 4 players. If you don't have 4 players at the field, it's going to be
Okay.
very
Good
difficult.
to know.
Well, you won championships, so you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. But, I've never done that. I
What?
played football for like 15 years.
Sometimes ghost
You
players.
won
are your best friend.
championships
Yeah,
with
those
the
don't.
Green Bears.
Yeah, they're not the same. We're talking about fall ball. This should be easy. Greg, how did fall ball go?
Really wet. Kind of boring. It was more of just pickup games more than it was anything. I mean, I don't even think most of the teams actually played together as teams
No.
for the entire thing. I mean, maybe the newer teams that didn't really know anybody, but we even still split them up and put teams together and just kind of had schoolyard ball to kind of get the ball rolling with these newer players.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I don't want to call it a failure, even though I did in my notes here. But, I mean, Jeremy was there like the last 5 minutes of fall ball period. So,
and it rained.
It rained.
And
It rained the entire time.
We went to Waffle House after the final.
And we saw
Dang.
Evie, and she was awesome. She served us our waffles again. So, all was right.
Yeah, fall ball, we might have gotten 2 teams out of it. It looks like here's a list of 7 teams that right now have declared that they will be participating in the 2015 season. Now, if we don't have at least 8, this ain't worth my time. I'm just going to say it. I want 10. I want to expand to 10 teams.
I'll start a team again. The retirees.
The list of teams that look to
Brett
be
Favres.
committed to be involved in the 2015 season are as follows. Sit on My Base, which is actually not the Sit on My Base from last season. It's actually a fusion team of the remnants of Wee Willie Wiffle and the core of Sit on My Base. Paul's a big fan
Let
of
me
this.
just say, I didn't get invited.
Well,
That's why I went in retirement.
Twin moved to D.C. or
Yeah.
somewhere out east.
And he was actually starting to pick up and actually get a lot better by the end of the season.
Andy had gotten a job and wasn't able to do it.
A job.
Trying to
Priorities.
better himself. Patrick is actually planning on being the first non-player manager of a team. And then otherwise it would be Kevin Chatton, Jeremy Ray, Nick Capra, Andrew Westcott. I didn't say him already. I'm not really sure who else was on
Jacob
that team.
Dunkel.
Jacob Dunkel,
Yeah.
Jacob Dunkel. So 5 of the 6 spots are already there. Patrick, if he chooses to play, I guess there's a
I
spot
see
still
Patrick
for him.
play.
Yeah. Well,
Just
he had
like
that ankle injury last year, and he wasn't the same the
Well,
rest
he'll
of the season.
probably be like man number 6
Yeah.
and play if he has to.
Okay. Player coach.
Yeah.
Okay, so a semi base is going to be the team to beat next year already. Just out of the roster so far. But they've really taken the pitcher rotation rule proposal seriously by having 2 top pitchers on their team. Something that all teams need to be following suit on. There might be other top pitchers out there that just are undiscovered because a team has an ace and they just throw them. So they're going to have to be more creative than that. Breaking balls. Ryan Pritt, captain of that team, has assured that they will be participating, but we do not know what the roster situation is going to be for that. So we don't know. Rob Stewart moved to Morgantown.
Boo.
Yeah. Matt Gordon, according to Drew McClanahan, is not really a for sure thing. And then Jeff Ryder and Nick Scala both had a lot of commitments at work that made it difficult for them to be at the field. So what variation of breaking balls are going to be playing, who knows? Whiffling Dixie, that is formerly the Green Bears. That is Greg Sowards, Mike McCoy, Mike Saxton, supposedly James Clagg, member of the 2013 champion Maroon Squad. But
We'll see if it happens.
yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
If he shows up, he can play. If he doesn't, I'll fill a spot with a monkey.
But looking for
Yeah,
looking for
bitch.
2 to 3 players for that team. Then new team by Bradley Burke, Huntington Whifflers. Not much to know about that team. I only met 1 or 2 of his teammates during fall ball. I don't really know much about his team. YM Whiffles, that's Stephanie Sadler captain team that is all girls. It's the first ever all girls team we've had since the Owls in our first season, and it's double the roster.
Well, I thought
And triple the talent.
the Owls were pretty much a made-up team.
No, they played.
No,
both
they
games.
played.
They're 0-2. That's about as legit as it gets.
Okay.
Then there's Chicken and Whiffles. That's Ronnie Canterbury's team with myself, newcomer Rick Patterson, Justin Fairman, and oh yeah, Paul Hesson was on that team, and everyone hates him.
Paul,
so.
you're screwed.
Yeah, everybody hates me.
Paul's voted off the island.
Let me tell you this. Don't let that guy there pitch. He's horrible.
Well, I'm not on this team, so.
But Ronnie's team, Chicken and Whiffles, is looking for 2 players, and Team Bag Tag, according to Brandon Woolham, will be playing. Not might
Are you
be.
sure?
He says he's assured me that they will be
'Cause-
playing, but we don't know the roster at all.
After-
Brian Ball has signed on to attend the winter meeting, so I'm assuming he and Brian Ball at the very least.
I mean,
will be
they
playing.
seemed very intent
Yeah.
that, kickball is life death. You know,
But it's on Sundays.
Yeah, you can do both. It's okay to do that.
until the NWL.
I think Bag Tag's
tournament.
ability to have fun is somewhat tied to success because, you know, that I feared that was going to be an issue. They don't know any other way than success. They've been champions I don't know how many times in their individual kickball league. They pretty much dominated last year's or 2013 fall ball season. They went into 2014 with a full roster.
Was it the same roster?
No, it was not the same roster.
Okay.
It was more expansive. They were missing a key player that, you know, tragically had died,
Right.
Paul Martin. But they looked to have a pretty good lineup, and I think if everyone would have been able to play, they would have had a much different season. Ryan Blatt is a very good pitcher. He hit extremely well. He actually got some earned runs off of Drew after Mike popped his cherry. But, you know, he was actually a very good player. Gary Ball was actually a decent pitcher. He got the ball there, but he didn't have a lot on it. And Kara Dills just didn't show up a lot. She had some stuff going on, I guess. Just like half the team was just not showing up at any given week, and that made it very... Kara Dills.
Oh, she's probably taking care of James Clegg and a couple.
Yeah, I think she had a lot of work stuff going on. Then Gary got injured. Ryan got a new job. So I mean, there were plenty of times where it was just Brian Ball, Brandon Wallum, and whoever else would show up. I mean, there just
they'll probably just do better if they
Zach
get
Black,
a stable team.
So that's a team. The core, I'm not aware of who it is beyond Brian and Brandon. So Brandon is very creative and he knows a shit ton of people. So if he's wanting to get a team together, he's not going to have a problem doing it. It's just I hope he has better luck than he did last year because the team just sort of fell apart. They were plagued by injuries and just a lot of commitments that just really kept them from being able to
commitment issues.
To commit. Yeah. So
I know how that goes.
We're looking at 7 teams here that are going to be coming back. We're not really sure what the Magic 8th team's going to be. Paul's trying to work on a team right now. And then Poker Night, we've heard nothing from them. I've tried to reach out to them several times, and I'm just not getting a response.
Well, Josh, speaking from experience, when you get your ass handed to you, game in, game out, you tend not to want to play.
They didn't get their asses handed. They beat us once.
Coming back, so that's
they
not
beat
true.
us.
Josh, the Welfare Warriors beat your team.
Yeah.
Okay. Twice.
But I mean, they actually weren't a bad team. That was a team that just needed a pitcher. That was it.
Right.
It's just that's one thing that still scares me for this year is just
if they
each team has to have a good pitcher.
The other thing is though about them, I think if they were there the year before, they would have been on par with everyone else.
All right.
Because they're a fun team.
The winter meeting is next month, February 3rd. The venue is strange. It's Cabell Huntington Hospital, room G99. That's the hot place to be on Howard Greer Boulevard.
How do we get that? Because it's a very odd.
Don't you want to multitask? You go see your grandma and you go to a wiffle ball meeting in the same building.
If there's Little Caesars Pizza, I have immediate access for food poisoning to be cured.
That's right. Or you could get something for heartburn, like boom, right there. Eat
more food poisoning.
Eat, pay a registration fee, get prescription, all in the same place.
And
one-stop shop.
And flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, or a teddy bear if you want.
But Bradley Burke, the captain of the Huntington Whifflers, works at that hospital, and I didn't want to have it at a bar or a restaurant again. It's just too noisy, and we couldn't be as productive.
I don't think the Mexican place was that bad.
No, it worked. It got the job done, but I was not particularly pleased.
It sort of
I think it was more of a problem of too many people showed up that really weren't needed, so it became more of a social affair than it was an
which is fine.
meeting.
It's just we just had trouble getting anything productive done, which is our first actual winter meeting. So like the first winter meeting for the league was just me, you, and Kyle. That was it at a burger joint. So
yeah, we couldn't get anything done because you want to talk about loud.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to be like the loser at the table in the middle of the restaurant going like, oh, I think it should be this many balls. Everyone's eating their burgers. No thanks. I don't want to be the freak.
Maybe
I still lived in town there. I didn't want people to go, that's a guy that was talking about balls at the top of his voice in the restaurant.
Well, maybe I like you talking about balls while I'm eating my burger.
Well, you can get your rocks off on somebody else, my friend. It's not going to be me. Okay.
Not anymore, Jeremy.
So
he is married now.
The winter meeting, we have an actual venue for it. It'll be quiet. We have people from all 7 teams that have already signed on to come and represent their team.
Let me back up. Not unless there's code black. Then it
Or
would be
code
black.
blue.
Yeah.
It won't be very. It'll
Yeah,
be kind of noisy.
Yeah.
What
So
if they rush into our room and have to like use it?
it's not a hospital room. It's a conference room. Jesus.
Well, then there's more of a chance that maybe a nurse and a doctor are
What
going to
happens
rush
if
in
there's
and
a
try to use
squirter in our room?
It's a conference room.
Yeah,
There's
but-
no operating stuff in there.
They operate on each other in this.
They're not going to come in. It's like, it's an emergency. I need to give a PowerPoint
Have you
presentation.
seen
Stats.
Grey's
Yeah.
Anatomy? There's more than just PowerPoint presentations.
We need to talk about synergy right now.
They make synergy in those rooms. I think.
It's definitely a PowerPoint.
Give me 15 cc's of cooperation right now.
Or
Have I
sperm,
mentioned
one or the other.
this is a sexual harassment-free workplace? It's just like, what kind of office emergencies
Hey,
do you
it's
think?
not harassment if they're willing.
Yeah, whatever. Here we go.
It's
So,
only harassment 6 months later when you say no.
I'm already expecting this to be a much more productive winter meeting. Now, we have upped the ante. We're still going to be... Last year, we decided which teams were in which division. It was successful initially. We had 10 teams that were supposed to be playing. 3 teams ended up dropping out, and then a new team joined at the last second to balance things out before the season started. I don't want to go through that again. So each team that has committed and will be attending the winter meeting, they're not going to be wasting our time. Each team will have to pay 3 players' worth of registration fees, which is the minimum roster size for a team in the HWL, in order to hold their spot in the league. They don't have that. They have no spot. They don't get seen in a division. They don't even exist to me, because I'm not spending time making a schedule for more teams than what will actually be there. So that is a prerequisite for the meeting.
And that also means,
It's $35 per player, so we're looking at
say, someone like Paul,
$105.
who's still
$105.
solo, can actually pay for Casper and can pay for
Yeah, if you don't have the
Your
players
dead-
yet, that's fine.
dead Uncle Fred.
Yeah.
You know.
If you don't have the players yet, that's fine. But if you're confident you're going to have a team, then you need to have 3 players worth of registration fee, $105. That fee goes up to $45 per player after March 1st. We got to get that equipment. It was getting a little late in the game. We barely got that stuff in on time.
We also experimented a little last year,
Yeah.
too.
There was some equipment we didn't get till after the season started. The League Rules Committee meeting is tonight, the first of 2 meetings to reform the rule book for clarity and coherency, so that the season will go a little easier. There's 8 major rule changes that will be effective one way or another. They will be struck down or expanded upon by this League Rules Committee. It's a 5-member committee made of myself, co-commissioner Greg Sowards, third-party / media director Jeremy Litton,
I'll just make the damn podcast.
Retiree.
Ginger minority representative Ronnie Canterbury,
He has no soul, by the way.
and Patrick Rail.
Who
So-
also has no soul.
We have an odd number for the committee, so there's no ties when it comes down to votes over these rules. And if we expand the committee, which will be out there, if anyone's interested enough and they're qualified, we're not looking for people who just want to bitch about shit. People that are actually creative and can bring something to the table. We're not going to add just one person. We're going to have to maintain that odd number. So if we expand it all, it'll be 7.
We can't bring in the coffees.
No. It has to be members of the league or people connected to the league.
Or people we like.
Yeah.
We
Well,
don't
we
like
the coffees, right?
We don't like the coffee.
Okay, fair enough.
So we're going to look over these 8 rule changes and talk about them for 60 seconds each, and then that'll be that. This will keep things pretty short. So briefly down the line here are the list of major rule changes. I'm going to go over them real quick, and then we will debate them or not. Just quickly, because these these conversations, we tried to have these on Facebook Messenger with the League Rules Committee, and it just was not fucking working. Like, I thought, I'm just going to hammer this out real quick. I'll plead my case, and then I'll be like, yeah, you're right, Josh.
By the
You're
way,
the best.
Yeah, fuck Josh.
And it doesn't work out.
I completely muted the league channel on Facebook because y'all were spamming.
Spamming?
Yeah. It got ridiculous with the rules.
Yeah, the whole purpose of the thread. Yeah, the League Rules Committee thread is totally full of bullshit stuff about the rules. Yeah, I can see. All right, major rule change proposal number 1: base distances moved to 45 feet apart instead of what we have been using at 40 feet, and having a halfway hash between the bases to determine whether or not base runners advance to the next base on dead ball plays. This is a rule taken straight out of the NWA handbook here. Number 2.
I think.
Hang on, we were going to discuss the individual stuff after I go down the line real quick, okay?
He hasn't set the timer yet.
All right. Pitchers poison getting the lead runner out rather than exclusively runners going to first base. Before this point, we've been using it in lieu of throwing to first base like you do in baseball. Pitchers rotation. Now, there's very few people that in the exit survey, which I mentioned this in, we sort of took votes to a straw poll to see who would be interested in it and who is so avidly against it. Not that many people were against it. Pitchers may only pitch a maximum of 6 innings per week. The only exemption would be if the first game of the night that they pitch in goes into extra innings beyond a 6 inning, that pitcher may pitch until a conclusion is found. But they may not pitch anymore, obviously, in any other games. 4, which was my baby here, the scorekeeper rule, which each team will have at least one bye week during the season in which they must send 2 people from their team, even though they're not playing, to come keep the books for some of the games, and to rule in third-party situations in close call conditions instead of people just arguing at each other for 15 minutes and wasting daylight. So,
and then going to find Josh.
Yeah, and then going to find me, and I have to make a ruling over something I didn't even fucking see. So this will save me a lot of time. Those people will also be using my Wi-Fi hotspot on location at the field, typing in those statistics on tablets and laptops, and before midnight that night, people are going to be able to go online and see where they stand in the standings and in the stats. Number 5. This has been needed since day 1. I can't believe we haven't done it. Clarify all the situations in which a ball is dead, which there are several. Number 6. Listing the possibilities and scenarios that you may get double or triple plays, which is more complicated. I mean, I think last year opened our eyes a little bit as far as not everybody that plays in the league now has been playing for a long time, and all these, I guess a lot of this stuff was just assumed or unspoken, but now we really do need to specify this stuff. Number 7, this is going to be a first for us ever, because in our old league we've always had 2 outs per team per inning. So this will be the first time that we're considering going to 3 outs. And a lot of people will have a lot of reasons for wanting to do that, and we'll discuss that. And the final one, adjusting the third base commitment zone. We created this box that was 5 by 5 feet. It's a bubble in which you may go past third base before considering being committed to go, before you must go, and play the play can happen by hitting the backstop. Okay, so let's set the clock for 60 seconds. I'm sure somebody feels very passionate about us moving the bases apart 5 feet more. Okay, so we have been using... Timer started.
That first rule is racist against fat people, like myself and Patrick Rail. How are we supposed to get to the bases in a orderly fashion?
Okay, first off,
by walking the same direction 60 additional inches.
First off, fat is not a race.
Hold on.
You cannot.
Yes, it is.
It's not a. It's
yes,
not
it
a
is.
Race.
Call the Call the NAACP. We are a race.
But it makes everything more square. The distance from the pitcher's mound to the plate is 45 feet. Everything
what
will be
would Carl
even.
say, Josh?
He would say which what we've been doing. I've never actually seen him run the bases. He may do fine. He might actually be very smooth out on the bases. I don't know.
There's a reason why he doesn't run.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck ever.
48 feet.
Whatever.
I'm sorry that you may have to run.
What about the halfway hash between the bases. If during dead ball situations, if you get to that hash or further, you automatically advance to the next base. But if you don't, you have
know
to
what
go
would
back.
happen? You know what would happen? I'd get some asshole like Nick Capra throw the ball at my elbow. Okay.
I think the hash thing's gonna make it difficult for the umpire, scorekeeper person, the third party. But I think it's going to change everything. It's going to change the technique that base runners use, because you're going to be able to stand there, and unless you have to run, all you got to do is get to that line. You don't necessarily, and you're basically safe.
Fine, we're done. Go.
Okay, that ding was pretty pitiful. Okay, so I think we settled that. So if we had to vote right now, the distance to 45 feet, how would we vote? I vote yes.
I vote no.
Yes.
Fuck you all.
Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Major rule change proposal number 2. Start the clock here in a second. Pitcher's poison, getting the lead runner out rather than exclusively runners going to first base as it has been. Patrick, member of the Rules Committee, made a unique proposal, and this is exactly as it is in the NWLA tournament. If the lead runner, the furthest lead runner, is not out for the pitcher's poison, they reach base before that runner, before the ball gets to the mound, then the next lead runner that is not on the base at the time of the ball getting back to the mound would be the next possibility of an out. So what if the bases are loaded? Start the clock.
All right. To start off with, I think the NWLA tournament has it wrong. I think it's too much to keep up with. It gets called wrong time in, time out, every game down at the tournament. The umpires can't keep up with it.
Now, umpires, there's 2 paid umpires who are experienced.
I mean, potentially bases loaded, you're trying to look at 4 bases between 2 people to see, and they're 45 feet apart.
Yeah.
So
you can't see everything.
We're talking seconds between people getting on base and not being on base.
That'd be double the work since we only have 1 person who's not getting paid, by the way.
Right. So, for one, I think the NWLA tournament has it wrong. And also because as a hitter, you're hitting the ball away from you, so the ball's going to be naturally the furthest away. You're hitting it to where the other players are. So you can make a play on other players with the ball a lot easier than throwing it all the way across the field to first.
Okay, dang. All right, so
Shut up, Greg.
I don't think 60 seconds is enough to talk about.
So to wrap up, it seems that we're all pretty much in agreement as far as you can't keep one set of eyes can't watch 4 people running exactly at the same time. 2 people, it's a stretch, and it has mixed results at the NWA tournament, for Christ's sake. So let's just get down to the original nuts and bolts of that rule change. Pitchers poison getting the lead runner or leaving it as it is to getting the runner going to first. Greg, what would you pick?
I would leave it at the runner going to first. You can get a runner that's going from second to third because someone hit the ball to the guy sitting in left field.
Okay. Jeremy?
I'm going to have to say leave it. I mean, if we were... But, I don't know. If I ask myself... No, I'm sort of undecided, just simply due to the fact if I go, what would Carl do? He would say, go with the NWLA rules. Because that's what we're trying to compete in, right? But then I really do like the way we have it already. With the whoever's running.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I kind of like how it is now because the reason, in my opinion, you don't go to first is because there's nobody playing first.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Right.
people playing other positions to do that. Which is like a replacement for first base, but not a replacement for any base.
That's the entire purpose of pitcher's poison is because you can't throw to first base realistically.
I think that's the best way to keep it. Unless we go down to like 2 fielders, then that might be...
Yeah, I mean, and that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Depending on the level of competition, the amount of teams that come out. Jacob Dunkel actually wrote in a question for this episode saying, if it comes down to it, would it be something that would be considered for us to limit the maximum size of the roster to a lower amount than what it is now, like 4 players, and having only 2 fielders besides the pitcher out in the field? That would definitely, I think, qualify as, I don't even think it would be a question, you'd have to make it a lead runner. As far as myself, I think it only makes sense, in our league anyway, to keep it to players running to first because it's easier to monitor. Everybody is conditioned to... We've all played baseball, softball. You all look to first base. So anytime someone hits the ball, you go and look there immediately. So, but also I could see the benefits of getting the lead runner. It would really knock those scores down.
Oh, I think it would help out those that are gravitationally impaired get to first.
Yeah, but it's still fielder's choice in that situation.
Oh, true.
It's not hit. Your batting average does nothing. Okay.
Yeah, but if you can get the lead runner by throwing the ball at him, then wouldn't that be better than just throwing it to the pitcher?
We'll get to that over the double and triple plays. 'Cause that one, I'm surprised we have not tackled that sooner. And that we didn't have to because of 2 outs. I mean, there's a million ways you can get 2 outs. Okay, the next rule change, which was controversial initially with our pitchers. It's a pitcher's rotation rule. Pitchers may only pitch a maximum of 6 innings per week. The only exemption would be if it's the first game of the night that they started, game goes into extras beyond the 6th inning, they may finish that game. Or not. It's up to them. But once you reach that 6 innings, they cannot start the second game. Okay? So, go. Paul, you're a pitcher. You got something to say about this?
I agree with that. Just to keep the competition more.
And if we...
That was the worst way to say that.
And that's why you're not on the rules committee.
I think it makes us make teams stronger rather than just make more teams with just one good pitcher. We have fewer number of teams, but we have better players on those teams.
I believe Drew McClanahan just quit if we pass it.
He agreed with it.
He agrees with it.
He had a lot of insight on it, to be honest.
No, at first he was like, fuck that, I'll quit.
Well, if we go to 3 outs, they're getting more innings. I mean, that's one more out per
That'd be the
inning.
equivalent
and
of
that's-
playing 9 innings of what we're doing
Yeah,
now.
it's 5 innings. I mean, it's like you're essentially being able to play a complete game. So, I mean...
What's wrong with 9 innings?
Nothing, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, 9 innings of our old style anyway.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you're still pitching more
That's
than
a
you
lot
could
of
ever want to
pitching.
pitch.
Yeah.
And I think it's really going to help force teams' hands as far as you're going to have to come up with a second good pitcher. All right, ding.
Agreed.
Okay. So,
Move on.
that was actually surprisingly easy. So if we have to vote right now, Greg, you vote in favor or against pitcher's rotation?
In favor of it.
Okay.
I mean,
Are there anything you'd like to change? You think it should be less innings? Or
no, I think 6 is perfect. That gives you can pitch your complete game and then possibly
close another?
close the next game, or you could pitch, if your team's blowing a team out, you could realistically pitch both games if you blow them out 2 games and start from...
Oh, so we're only doing 5 innings?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still doing 5.
Okay.
5.
Okay, Jeremy, vote.
I'm going to say yes, but hesitantly, due to the fact that We Willie Wiffle did this with one of the other teams, I forget which one, and we lost.
You guys did it with
Wiffle Ballers.
Yeah, Wiffle Ballers.
You made a pact if you went in extra innings.
Yeah, because we simply got tired of the...
But we're not
20
saying
innings.
that your starting pitcher has to come out. We're just saying that he can't pitch the next game.
I think we'll burn way less daylight because, you send your second or third best pitcher on the team. I mean, someone's gonna hit the ball.
I voted yes. What else do you want?
All right, Paul.
Yes.
All right. I say yes too because it's just we've been needing this for a long time, but we haven't had enough talent in the league to do it. I think we finally do. Because before we had 2 or 3 player teams, so there was nobody. It's somebody that has one arm and in a wheelchair. Probably not the best person, to pitch on the team.
Now, what about Beth? What do you say? Yes or no?
I'd say yes.
All right.
Because you're tired of us bitching.
Way to conform.
She's a follower.
Okay, the next rule. This one we may need 120 seconds. This is a mouthful. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna martyr myself here, but it is a lot of work to get the statistics database updated week after
Quit
week.
your bitching.
And I even have help with that. So I think it's only fair after running that aspect of leagues for 10 years now to ask for a little required help. So each team's going to have 1, possibly 2 bye weeks in which they do not have games scheduled during the season. During that time, during their scheduled bye weeks, each team sends a minimum of 2 players to the field, and there's only 1 player at a time required at each field, which may only be 3 or 4 fields going at the same time like last year, to keep the scorebook, watch the game, and serve as a tiebreaker in close calls and making definitive calls, safe out, fair foul, so on and so forth, which we need because Greg and I are getting tired of being pulled away from our games, and our games going into hour and a half territory from having to bust up arguments over plays we didn't witness ourselves. So I think this is going to... There's no other league that does anything like this, period. Potomac has paid umpires, but this is the same guy that runs the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, that's infrastructure we just can't buy. We don't have that kind of resources. So, I guess this is... I think it's a good idea. I think maybe the only argument is feasibility. So,
I agree with the rule change and adding the scorekeepers. For one, there's a lot of times where the scorebook's not actually filled out at the end of the game, and teams are just like rushing, or at the end of an inning.
people are losing out on stats,
to
too.
try to remember what happened, and then the stats look fucked up the next week, and then batting averages aren't right, RBIs aren't counted, just things aren't right in the rule book. And sorry, there was a loud noise in the middle of me talking. I don't know what it was. I think Josh has a ghost.
Paul?
Well, I don't have a ghost.
No, I mean, do you have something to say?
Oh, yeah, I agree with it.
We got 60 seconds, people. Come on.
I completely agree.
I agree.
I think it's an excellent rule. Who thought of that?
Just enforce the rules we got, Josh. People are supposed to write down everything down in the book as it is right now.
Oh, right there. I might have sped it up.
Quit being a whiny bitch and just do your part.
I think this rule, we're going to be pioneering something brand new by requiring to do it. And you know what? I actually have a two-step demerit system for teams that do not meet these requirements.
But I pay.
You know what?
I pay to play this game.
The
not
first
to take
time they
stats.
don't send somebody, they are not allowed to participate in the All-Star game. The second time it happens, they are allowed not to participate just in the championship if they make it. They can't even play in the playoffs. Period.
See, that one's a little bit more detrimental.
If you can't send 2 fucking people, that's 1/3 of your roster.
That
and
show up
almost
every other week.
Everybody lives in the area to keep the book. And I will provide drinks and refreshments and all the equipment that they could possibly need to make this happen, just for the sake of contributing to the infrastructure of the league. I think it's a small sacrifice. Rule number 5. Clarify all the situations in which the ball is dead. Some arguments that we got into last year were so minute I couldn't believe that it was actually happening. It was like an episode of Seinfeld or some crazy shit like that. Here are all the collective situations that I have come up with, and stuff that we brainstormed just on the Facebook thread with the League Rules Committee that constitute dead ball situations.
Jeremy.
Number 1, foul balls. 2, successful peg attempts, in which the ball did peg the runner. Ball has reached the mound. Pitcher's poison. Or, they want to end the play. Just like it is in Little League. You get the ball to the mound, everybody stops. It's just sort of a playground rule. That's the only thing that just keeps it from being just a mess. Because if we get to a point to where there's not really clear what the rule is, people just keep running. That's what happened in that Wee Willie Wiffle semi-base playoff game. It's just nobody knew what was going on, and people were just fucking running, and then we had to end up taking runs away, and it was too much. I'm not trying to rip the Band-Aid off.
Wee Willie Wiffle was in the clear on that one.
I'm just trying
Sit
to
in my base. Oh, let's don't end it on this. Let's not end it on that.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's like making this emotional appeal, and you fell for it. You sick bastard.
No, I watched the replay like 5 times. I made the best call I could on a 3-inch screen.
Hey,
or whatever.
Hey, we did.
And you all call me gay.
It's the
for
only
Jeremy?
time we've reviewed a play ever. Okay, so
listen. We have always had.
Shut up, Greg. Let's go.
We've always had a standard in this league.
That's right.
If we cannot come to a legitimate,
we redo the play.
Agreeable decision.
We couldn't come to an agreement.
Exactly. Anytime we can't come to some sort of agreement that everybody is happy with.
But if there was a third-party person sitting there with nothing else to do but to watch the game and keep the book, there would have been a much more educated and valued opinion. Maybe. The rules failed at that point, but you need to have someone that say, well, that is this. Huh?
Whose fault's that?
You. It's your fault. Okay. The fourth and final that we have right now that constitutes as a dead ball is successful plays at the plate. If the ball misses the strike zone or the backstop, it's a one-base overthrow. Players in motion are awarded the base they are headed towards, and then the play is dead. But in this realm we have right now, once it hits that net or zone, if you're not past the line, you go nowhere. So there's also some talk. I think Patrick and Ronnie both mentioned this. If you catch a fly ball in foul territory, it's a dead ball.
Yes.
Is that the way it is in baseball or something like that? I
If
don't
you
know.
catch it, they're still out, but it's still dead.
But as far as tagging up and running,
Oh yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
run.
you can't do
yeah,
that.
you can't run.
In
But
baseball.
if you don't tag up, you can get out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just as it is when they catch it in fair territory. But what I've been told is if
If it happens in foul territory.
if you as a defenseman you catch the fly ball in foul territory, then it's dead ball instead of if it's in fair territory where you can tag up. I think it would be easier at this point to say, can you tag up and run or not?
Not if it's foul.
if it's
you can't-
foul, I don't think so.
Right now, that's not protected under the rule book. That's
And
something
it
that needs
should
to
be.
be put in. Then we need to put that in.
Definitely.
Okay.
Where's a pin?
So wait.
Just kidding.
Well,
Doesn't
it's in the notes here.
I'm-
It's not in your book. I mean, your book.
Not in the rule book
Rule
presently.
book.
No.
But isn't there a line that says refer to all MLB rules?
There is.
Yeah, but the MLB rule book is like as long as it's longer than the Constitution, so there's lots of things that are probably in there that would never make sense. There's probably etiquette about spitting out smokeless tobacco that are not in our rule book. You know, we need to get it to the point to
there
where
is.
it's like we do not need that annotation for Major League Baseball rules at
Right.
the end. That's where we need to get, and a lot of it's just organizational and clarification, not so much that we need rules or need to strike down rules.
Also, I think we need to clarify what constitutes out of play and one base overthrow because it's not clear. I mean, out of play technically.
out of play is at beyond the lines for us.
Right. Well, that's the same thing with the foul ball. That's why it's out of play. So that's why you
Okay.
can't tag up.
Fine, but we need to put that in the
We
rule
need to
book.
clarify it.
I don't think that really is one that really merits having a 60-second debate at all. Rule number 6, possibility of double or triple plays. Once the ball reaches pitcher's mound, the play is dead. The only way to have double or triple play tags, or triple plays in general, and I just came up with this today, is to tag a force out base prior to throwing it to the mound, or making a tag or peg on a runner.
If you peg a runner, it's dead.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm going
okay.
to say that. Tagging or pegging a runner successfully results in a dead ball, and no further outs can take effect after
tagging
that
should
point.
be because you don't release the ball. The reason it's dead when you peg someone
I agree with that.
is
You've lost control
You've
of the ball.
released
Yeah.
the ball and the ball's over here.
I agree.
Take that
Then
risk.
You have to run and pick it up. Tagging's the same thing as if you tag a base.
But you can still lose the ball in the process of tagging.
But you're
Well,
still
then
going
I
to be
think that
right.
should
You're still
not
going to
be
be
dead.
right. Yeah, but you're still going to be right there with the ball.
I
You're not
agree
going to
with
be 10 feet away throwing it
okay.
unless you're following your shot like a basketball player.
It seems to be the only way you can get a triple play is if, let's say, the
The other
bases
team
are
fucks
loaded.
up.
Oh, the bases are loaded. As far as the present rules, you touch third, throw it to second, and then throw it to the mound or tag the last person.
I think we would have to extend to like 80 feet.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Bases.
depending on the hit and the arm strength of your fielders in a position, it would be one of those 1 in a million things.
Or
If you
there's-
could, if you caught them off base.
I don't think if you the pegging thing, the tagging thing, I don't know. It'd be awful hard to watch. It's the only reason. It just seems easier to lump tagging and pegging together just for the sake of there's one person who's keeping a book at the same time watching all these runners. And where we used to have like 3-player teams, there's a possibility of 4 dudes out there running at the exact same time with 4 people who are on defense out there at the same time. It's a lot to keep in. That's a panorama that I'm not looking forward to having to deal with. on
Yeah,
my
but the
bye week.
third party person's really just there in case it's a call that has to be made. You don't really need the third party person to say I tagged you, unless the other team's going to lie about it
Right.
and say you didn't. I mean, a tag's pretty definite that you touched someone.
How about if it's a tag if they don't drop the ball? Then we could say the ball's still live.
Well, if you drop the ball, if you tag with a glove and you drop the ball, they're not out.
Well,
But-
us if the
but
ball
with-
touches you, period.
Yeah, but
you're
if the
out.
ball
Yeah, it was like
touches you, period,
that was a
they're out.
very. I remember very
unless-
specifically having to explain
Yeah,
that to a person.
but it would be kind of like
Well, wait,
throwing the ball if you drop it.
I thought if it
You
hit
know
the
what I'm
ground.
Well, you see now how I kind of want to lump those two things together, though.
But you should, instead of lumping it, just add the
No
you know,
drop clause.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you drop the ball,
No.
then it's they're still out if you touch them with it. But if you drop the ball, then it's dead ball.
All this talk of touching balls.
Although then you could make that a strategy to tag someone and then drop
No,
the
wait.
ball.
I thought Vlad or Berlich established
Well,
clearly.
if the ball, in my eyes, if the ball is dropped, then it should be seen as the same as a peg.
Right.
Okay.
But it has to be instantaneous. It can't
Yeah.
be like,
Well, why would you want to drop it after that? You'd still want the ball to be live so you can get somebody else, right?
right. Or if you were trying to stop runners from advancing any further.
Okay.
But you shouldn't be that far out play. Unless they were going to go home or something.
Right.
All right, next rule.
Next rule, number 7. We are it's probably about half and half. A lot of people still like the 2 outs because the games do move faster. But there's a lot of traction being gained for 3 outs per team per inning. Clock is ticking. Anybody have any shit to give to anyone who wants 3 outs?
No, I think it's good for the offenses. We don't have any shit to give here.
I think it
3 outs, definitely.
it makes the bitter pill of the pitching rotation easier to
Yeah.
swallow. I think.
It balances out the pitching.
I mean, and nobody's a bigger expert on swallowing than Jeremy. So
Let's just
Sometimes you just got to cough it up and clear it out.
let's just say this: every team has their fall guy, generally. So there's that one guy on every team that's easy to get out, and everybody knows it. So that's the guy you're going to pitch to with 2 outs.
Yeah, but
if he comes up,
then
you got him
theoretically,
to get
by
out.
that logic, you've just extended the game.
maybe, but I think if games go into extra innings, right now there are plenty of games that went to extra innings, and I should know we were stuck in them a lot that were 0-0. If they go into extra innings now, there'll at least be some points on the board.
Right.
I agree. 3 outs, definitely.
So that just seems like the best way to deal with it. Okay. That was an audible ding. I can actually hear that one. Awesome.
Good job.
The 8th. Nope. We're on Rule 7, aren't we? Nope. It's 8. Okay, 8th and final rule. Adjusting the third base commitment zone. That 2-sided box that we have.
I see nothing wrong with it as it is.
Patrick made numerous complaints because he has 2 people that actually run fast. It's very easy to go beyond the lateral 5-foot mark to where if you run more in that direction, you're no closer to home. You're actually further away from home. So he has recommended that we either do not acknowledge when they go past that point, or we do not paint that part of the box at all on the outside.
I say
What would that help? Because then people just run and not care.
Well, there's still the line. The line you
front
don't want to
line.
cross
The
is the
box
front
is
line.
there for a reason.
I think we need less of a box and, like Pat said,
Just a
a
line.
line. If the line's there, the line in the front is the one that matters, because that gets you closer to
Yeah.
home plate.
Well, the only reason I put the outside line there is because people round third. They don't.
Right.
We're not robots. We don't go 90 degrees and
Yeah, this isn't NES here.
Yeah. So I mean, people they color outside the lines a little bit, So it just seemed like, well, everything else is square. Why not just make the base is square, the diamond's square? I mean, it's just like, let's just go ahead and make that square
We
too.
had good intents when we
Now,
did
wasn't
it.
there?
Nobody. Well, after I painted it the first time, no one was like, "What the fuck is that? Why did that?" It's like, I was like, and then everyone's all like, "I'm gonna slide past." I was like, "You can slide 5 feet on your belly? How do you still have a penis?" It's just like, this is the Earth. So
Well, I think some people were just sliding to slide.
No.
Because they could.
when that dew falls, though, I mean, you're gonna get a few extra inches. Know what I'm talking about.
That's true.
So
No, wasn't there a controversy though? Someone threw the ball to someone who are at the person in the box, and they were hit. And then
well, if you're in the box, you're
Still
Safe.
alive if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not touching base.
I just remember it was like Zach Blatt.
yeah. It's not a base. It doesn't. It's not in
Some-
lieu of a
somebody was
base.
fighting over.
Why
it.
I would shade that motherfucker in. Would there even be a third base there? Like, get to the box.
Well, maybe we should shake the motherfucker in.
Why the fuck would you want? I mean, it's not a safe zone. It's a base.
It should be.
You could still be shot on a military base. You can't just go like, "I'm sorry, the enemy. You can't get me." See these planes on this landing strip? These are ours. You can't
Well,
get
you
me
tell
here.
that to Berlich.
We're not in no man's land. You see any barbed wire here? No.
If the ball touches you and you're not on a base, you're out.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Well, I understand that.
I don't
but
care
some
if the
people
ball is hit in the air, hits a falcon. and then comes down and hits you, if you're not on a fucking base, you're out. That's the way it is. It's pinball, all right? If you're not on a base, it is just open season on your ass. That's all the major rule change proposals. There may be others, but those are the things that are going to be hotly debated. They don't sound like that big of a deal, but we're all more or less on the same page.
Yeah, and you're not part of our Facebook group. They are a big deal.
But as far as most of the other rules, they are going to remain the same, maybe slightly changed. The rule book won't be changing a whole lot. Just it's going to be reorganized and better. I basically blended 3 rule books together the first draft couple years ago, and it looks like shit. So
and then we reformatted, and now we're reformatting again.
Well,
it's all going to be in Comic Sans.
The
last
year, the last rule book was written last year over a lot of alcohol.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't actually written. I went on top of this mountain.
It was given to you,
and it was given to me carved in stone, and that's how I got this beard.
You were hammered, and you went to the mound.
I saw Jesus.
No, that was the ghost of a dead Indian.
Oh.
All right, on top of the mound in Charleston.
To wrap things up, winter meeting February 3rd, which is a Tuesday. Cabell Huntington Hospital, room G99.
G99.
Yeah, go see your grandma.
Get
in the ICU, and then come down to G99 where the party's at.
That's gonna be horrible if my grandma's really in the ICU.
There's like 15 hospitals.
Sick bastard.
We use
St. Mary's. It's called multitasking,
so.
Jeremy. Get you an IV. Come and get some pizza. Pay your registration fees.
They provide free morphine.
Okay, so until the winter meeting, that's all we had to discuss on this episode of the Huntington Wiffle League podcast. Signing off, I'm your host, Josh Smith, with my co-host,
Greg Sauer,
and producer, Jeremy Litton, with special guest,
Paul Hesson.
We'll talk to you soon.